we talked about this story in Hamtramck before. So there's Hamtramck is in, Michigan. So it's a small city, like Detroitish area. And there's a lot of Muslims there. It has an all Muslim city council. It has and it has a Muslim mayor as well. And so they decided to vote to have a neutral flag policy. Again, it's a neutral flag policy. So it means that you can't fly a BLM flag on government property, on like city property. You can't fly a LGBT, all inclusion, that really ugly flag with the triangles. You can't fly that. And you can't fly a Christian flag, and you can't fly a Muslim flag. You can fly the American flag, and the American flag should be good enough to represent Americans. It should be good enough to do that. You can fly the state flag, you can fly the city flag or whatever, and you can fly the POW flag, and there was like another flag that they could fly, but everything else you can't. So people got very upset, and and a lot of people came out, and we looked at the videos, and it looked like a lot of white libs. Sometimes people are like, "Why are you bringing race into it?" I'm like, "I'm making an observation," and I think it's funny and sometimes necessary to make a distinction, because people like to blame like white evangelical conservatives as if they're just the only opposition in the world. And I'm like, no, other people feel the same way. So sometimes I think it's important to put that perspective, that sometimes it's like you white libs versus the world. So there was, I'm not saying it was only white libs, but from my observation, there was a lot of white libs out there protesting. Again, all Muslim city council, a Muslim mayor, and there was even a lesbian couple that kissed in front of everybody to, I don't know, make their point. I think they're also like had clown noses on. It was really bizarre. So they think neutrality is evil. They think when you are neutral, then that means the oppressed are losing. Dana Nessel had a little speech, so I'm going to go through her clips and play her clips. But before I play her clips, I want you guys to know a little bit about Dana Nessel, right? So I'm going to play at least 2 videos before I play her. There's like 3 snippets. I think because she didn't pay for verification, she can't post more than videos longer than 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So there's like 3 parts. So it's crazy that well, I mean, Elon said people had to pay, and I guess she didn't pay. So she is a lesbian. She's married to a woman. And you might say, well, why is that relevant? Is that relevant? Kind of. That's how she kind of came out the gate for her when she first ran. So this is her primary election video that I'm about to show you guys. This is pretty crazy.
If the last few weeks has taught us anything, it's that we need more women in positions of power, not less. So, when you're choosing Michigan's next Attorney General, ask yourself this: who can you trust most not to show you their penis in a professional setting? Is it the candidate who doesn't have a penis? I'd say so. Some people will tell you I can't be the Democratic nominee for Attorney General here in Michigan because we can't have an all-female ticket for statewide office in 2018. Pundits and insiders are asking, can we afford to have a female governor, a female Attorney General, and a female Secretary of State? Well, I read the news, and I bet you do too. And it has me wondering, can we afford not to?
So that was how she pitched herself. You can't trust dudes because they have a penis. So I'm like, her shtick is, hi, I'm a man-hating lesbian, and you can't trust dudes, so vote for women. Vote for me. We can have an all-female ticket. And they did win. And I think that's mostly the Michigan politics of that year when they got elected. It's a strategy now in Michigan, and this is something we'll have to figure out, something else probably they put on the ballot to drive out turnout. But I don't know if they necessarily need to now, because we've changed some of our election laws. Republicans are going to be fighting an uphill battle for a while in Michigan, but she got carried over for sure. We had pot on the ballot, the legalization of pot, so it did drive out high turnout. Like Gretchen Whitmer got elected. Her numbers, granted, 2016 Hillary, probably in their estimation underperformed, and she didn't get the numbers like she thought she would or hoped that she would. But Whitmer didn't. Her numbers weren't that dramatically different, and it wasn't a presidential year. Usually you get like, a big kind of a difference between like presidential year versus like a midterm or whatever. So people came out to vote, and Michigan, it is like a purple state, but it is pretty blue. It is pretty blue. Detroit, Wayne County is a big area. There's other big cities that are getting bluer, and some big counties, like where I live in Oakland, have flipped and are no longer red. They are blue and getting bluer by the day. So the reason why I don't want to get to all the intricacies of Michigan politics, but Republicans have been able to maintain control for a while, but because of how they did redistricting and other things, just through a very long-term plan, now Democrats like run the whole state. So it's unfortunate. It continues to be unfortunate, but she got dragged over, I would say, because of a lot of particular circumstances. I don't think a lot of people knew or cared too much about Dana Nessel. That was a race that they didn't think that they probably thought they were going to lose. But unfortunately, she out of the governor, attorney general, and secretary of state, I think she like had the least among the three. But they pulled her over. Straight party ticket voting, pulled her over. So she's the attorney general and has been, but she's said some crazy stuff. A lot of crazy stuff, done some crazy stuff. There's a story about how she went to a game and was wasted and had to be wheeled out in a wheelchair. And there's other things as well. So here's a video that I cut some time about Dana Nessel. She's a person who said, we need a drag queen for every school.
No, it's not a problem for kids who are seeking a good education. Drag queens. Okay? Let me say this. Drag queens, not only are they not hurting our kids, drag queens make everything better. Drag queens are fun. Drag queens are entertainment. And you know what I'll say that was totally not poll tested? I say this. A drag queen for every school. That is what would be fun for kids and lift them up when they are having emotional issues.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just got reelected. Um, Abortion was a huge factor in our election, but there's other factors. If you didn't live in Michigan, you don't know how crazy the ads were nonstop the whole time against our candidates and stuff. So there's a huge just money gap, and it's hard to beat an incumbent anyway. Just a lot of different factors. So anyway, she's still the attorney general, and so she was upset about Hamtramck again, an all Muslim city council, Muslim mayor, and she thought that they should continue to be able to raise pride flags, and that having a neutral flag policy is a bad thing. So we're gonna listen to her speech a little bit. There's more crazy things I can say about her, but we're gonna get to this particular crazy thing that's going on with sadly my attorney general.
So instead of speaking extemporaneously, I wrote a speech. So I hope it's okay if I read it, because I think this is really important what you're doing here today, and I want to get this right. So again, my name is Dana Nessel, and I am your Michigan Attorney General. Now, I come here today to implore the government of the city of Hamtramck to repeal its resolution to ban the pride flag, and to instead pledge to love, support, and recognize the dignity and the value of all those who live, visit, and do business with Hamtramck. Now, I have heard that Mayor Galeb has said that those who make this request are strangers and outsiders to Hamtramck. Friends, I have spent my career here at the 31st District Court, fighting for crime victims, defending the rights of indigent defendants, people who were too poor to be able to afford an attorney. I have been here over and over again for your events and your festivals. When I ran for office in 2018, I was endorsed by the Bangladeshi and Yemeni caucuses of the Michigan Democratic Party, who stood on stage with me when I earned the endorsement of my party. The city of Hamtramck voted for me in overwhelming numbers in 2 consecutive election cycles, and I have fought tirelessly for Hamtramck and for the Muslim community over the course of my last 4.5 years in office. I am not a stranger to you. I am not an agitator. I am your Attorney General, and yes, I am also gay.
So, to her point, they did overwhelmingly vote for her. So when you see things being pushed in the state, like during election season, I pointed out that the Michigan Department of Education was having some kind of training, and they were showing videos of all kinds of weird stuff and like propping up like chest binders. If you don't know what chest binder is, it's something to bind your chest. If you're like a young woman or something, you want to, maybe you're trans and you don't want to have that feminine form or whatever, and then it does such like damage to your body, including to your breasts, that it does get you to a point where, I mean, eventually your breasts aren't gonna be looking too good after you compress them all the time, so why not just, I guess, chop them off at that point? So it conditions you toward that route of getting a double mastectomy. But I'm like, why is the Michigan Department of Education showing these videos and uplifting this stuff? It's so weird. So you can complain about this kind of stuff going on in Michigan, but you have like radicals, not just people who support the LGBT community. I'm talking about like radicals. She's a radical, Benson's a radical, Whitmer's a radical, but Nessel, I showed you the video with the whatever, well, 2 of her videos. She's a radical person. When you go and you vote and you're a party person and you want to vote for your team, you have to know what your team stands for and what they're going to push. So you have to do some more research, and you have to think about where they're going and what you want done in your community, in your life, and how it's going to affect your friends and your family, and decide like, oh, you know what? My values are a bit more conservative than the route that they're going. I don't think it's okay to have a drag queen for every school. I don't think that's okay. So I don't think that you should sue adoption agencies and try to put Christian charities out of business if they don't want to if they want to adhere to their faith. They can go somewhere else where they do good work. There's no point in putting them out, closing up their shops and not having a place for these kids to go. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you're that kind of person, why do you keep voting for people like Dana Nessel just because she has a D next to her name? So if people want to start having better representation, they have to be responsible with their voting process. So she made a good point. People overwhelmingly voted for her. So now she's pushing back because that's the kind of person that she is. And it hasn't been a secret, has never been a secret.
Now, Mayor Galeb has said that banning the pride flag is meant to keep the city neutral and impartial towards its residents. Respectfully, I disagree. Banning the pride flag is meant to send the very opposite message, a message of intolerance, hatred, and bigotry. As it said in situations of injustice, neutrality always favors the oppressor, never the oppressed. And as Martin Luther King Jr. so aptly observed, the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. Anyone who accepts evil without protesting against it is one who cooperates with it. And make no mistake, homophobia, transphobia are indeed forms of evil just as much as Islamophobia is.
So I am not a Muslim. But you're talking about, well, first of all, they use homophobic and transphobic. They throw those words around a lot. And basically, if you're not, so if you don't want to fly the flag, I guess you're homophobic. And if you don't use pronouns, people's pronouns or whatever, or you say that Dylan Mulvaney's a man or something like that, they think you're transphobic. So there's a very low bar to qualify for these things. So I don't think it's evil to say, hey, Bruce Jenner is, he can call himself Caitlyn, but he's still a dude who like won, who like have competed in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. So it's you can't just undo life like it didn't happen. You can have your perception, and I can acknowledge you have a perception, but you're saying I'm like a bad person. I mean, it's evil to not engage. You can't even ignore people. There was once a time. Do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember when the pitch was, it's none of your business what two consenting adults do in their bedroom? That was the pitch. Now, if you're religious, you kind of care about what everyone does because you don't want to, do people to do simple things and end up not in heaven. So it's maybe not your business so much, but it's still like your duty to preach. So there's always been a conflicting thing there, but let's go with that. Let's say it's your business what two people do in the bedroom. I don't, believe in like, I think most people, even if they're not pro gay marriage, they wouldn't be like, yeah, let's get some sodomy laws. Like, I don't virtually like no support for that whatsoever. And I wouldn't support something like that. And it'd be like unenforceable anyway. So, it just would be ridiculous on that front. But it was two people can do whatever they want in their bedroom. Now it's if you don't fly the flag on city property, even if you're not singling it out specifically, you're just saying, hey, you can't fly a super straight flag either, which on TikTok, there was a guy who invented like super straight because he got sick of these trans women saying you're transphobic if you won't sleep with me. Yes, there are people saying that on social media, trans women saying, if you're transphobic if you won't date a trans woman because they're still a woman. And so someone said, I'm sick of people saying that. So I'm super straight, which means I'm only attracted to people who are cisgender or something. Or I don't even know if they were using cis at the time. Just you have to identify as the sex that you were born with or whatever the gender you're born with. So actually his stuff got taken down. He ended up getting banned. A lot of super straight stuff got banned. I don't think you can use a hashtag. So that happened like when I first came on TikTok. It was I have a video on it on YouTube if you search for it, but they don't like stuff like that. They don't want that to fly. They have an issue with they're flying a Christian flag, people will be upset. Church of Satan would probably show up and say you can't do that or whatever and sue. You have but what if they flew a Muslim flag or whatever? There's a lot of Muslims who live there. So they're saying, no, we're not going to do those things. We're just going to have a neutral policy. We're all united under the United States flag. We're all American citizens here, are we not? So that's how we're going to be united, and that can represent us. And they say, no, that is oppression, and it is evil, and we have to protest, and it's wrong to just not say anything. And it's wrong not to act. And when Ashley's saying all this stuff in my mind, she's so radical on abortion. I'm just like, you kill babies, you're for. And I'm like, but using the wrong pronoun is evil to these people. Anyway, the Democrat platform actually says like that they reject neutral policies. Now, they particularly said neutral policies on race. There might be something in there for as far as like LGBT stuff regarding neutrality. I'm not sure. I have to double check, but they believe that you really can't have neutrality because, as she said, the oppressed class will be the ones who are losing out. And I reject that. I don't think that's true. Um, America, in the United States of America, so many people can rise to the top from the from the bottom of the barrel as long as they work hard. The Brookings Institute said, which is not a conservative think tank right by any means, say if you graduate high school, get a job, keep a job, and don't have children out of wedlock, then you're probably not going to be permanently poor in the United States. So, and I'm not saying there's not things that can happen like catastrophic accident that leaves you crippled or other things like that it's like a golden ticket like Willy Wonka or whatever to go to the chocolate factory of life, but which even the people who got a ticket a lot of went home empty. Well, all but one went home empty handed. So there's no guarantees in life, but there's so much space for upward mobility for people to succeed. You can't control people's hearts and minds how they feel, but the same like rights that I have should be the same ones that apply to Dana Nessel. And I don't want her to have more rights because she's gay. And I was gonna say I don't think she thinks I should have more rights because I'm black, but maybe she does. Maybe she does. But we should all be treated equally. Now, I don't think that's necessarily people's experiences sometimes. I mean, we just got done talking about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. So not everyone is the reality is not everyone is treated fairly, but that doesn't mean that that's in practice, not everyone is treated fairly. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the laws and the rules and people being treated neutrally. But here's the thing, though. Why do they get to win? Why should they win? Because obviously, there's a lot of Muslim people in the community who don't want to see the gay pride flag flying over, their city building or whatever. So you cannot like that. But why do you get to win? Why does your side get to win? Why your side, not their side, and not the Christians or whoever? Why your side? Why your side? Like, and she's comparing Islamophobia to homophobia. We're talking about, and I'm not a Muslim, so there's definitely things in there that I don't agree with, but you're talking about their ideology versus like, I mean, it's your actions, I guess. I mean, some of it is identity or whatever, but it's who you like to sleep with, right? So you're talking about like a representation celebrating this physical thing that you like to do with particular people or whatever. It's not a friendship is magic flag, versus like people being treated poorly because of their ideology. And you can dislike people's ideology. Of course, there's ideologies that we don't respect or like, and we debate. But and I'm not trying to make the argument right, at least not right now, or anything that one is wrong or one is right. Like it's okay to be homophobic. That's not what I'm saying. But it bothers me that people throw in all these comparisons as if they're the same and they're not. I'm not saying that you should treat homosexuals wrong or you should treat trans people wrong. And we talk about this stuff a lot on the show or just in general, but that's not my intention, that I want folks to do things like that. But again, why, if you're rejecting a neutral policy, why is it that you're the ones who get to raise your flags as if you've conquered the land and everyone else just has to be upset about it? Because you know that they find that offensive to their faith. So why do you get to win? It is much better if everyone just has respect and they're like, you can fly your flag at home and I'll go to my mosque. That's actually respect. Respect is not we all bow down and have to do what you force us to do. That's not respect. But she doesn't believe in respect. She believes in conquering. She believes in conquer. I mean, what do you do when you go to battle? You go to war, you wage a battle. What do? What do you raise your flag to say this is the territory that we have conquered? That is that they say it's celebration. Isn't that what it's for? Because it's not about like two people just being happy doing whatever in their bedroom. It's you have to participate, you have to like it, or if you don't like it, just shut up and pretend that you do, and you have to celebrate and you have to protest these things. Because if you don't, she's saying if you don't protest it too, then you're also a bad person, that it's evil. And there's a special, she said there's a special place in hell. Want to talk about religion? There's a special place in hell for being neutral.
In a time of great turbulence in our state and nation, when discrimination and hate crimes are on the rise against historically marginalized communities, now is the time for Muslims and the LGBTQ communities to stand together. Those who wish the LGBTQ community harm are the very same people who threaten the lives and liberties of Muslims in our nation. And we must stand together, united, not divided. The consequences of allowing those who wish harm on both our communities to divide us are nothing short of catastrophic. Let us remember the prescient words of Martin Niemöller. First they came for the socialists, but I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, but I did not speak up because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me. And what happened? There was no one left to speak up. So I ask the city of Hamtramck to use its voice to speak up for all its people. Take down the wall you have now built that has made this proud city into a national embarrassment, and raise the flag of equality. Hamtramck, I will continue to fight for you in Lansing, but I ask that you treat all your residents with dignity, value, support, and equal protection. We are all deserving of as much, no more and no less. I love you, Hamtramck.
I'm going to go back to what she said at the beginning because I wanted to comment on.
In a time of great turbulence in our state and nation, when discrimination and hate crimes are on the rise against historically marginalized communities, now is the time for Muslims and the LGBTQ communities to stand together.
So, okay, so she goes into this big thing about like the people who don't like me and don't like you, they don't, you know, they're all the same people. We need to join together. But here's the thing about this coalition. They still don't like what you do, ma'am. Like they're opposed to you being with a woman or maybe it's fine. And they're like, you're an adult, you whatever, it's fine, but just don't raise the flag. They're just all they're saying. You have a problem with it. So if you can't even take this, how are they supposed to build a bridge? How are they supposed to build a bridge with you when you're like, it's wrong for everyone to be treated the same? If everyone being treated the same is a problem, how are you supposed to build a bridge? Because what you're saying is that they have to get over the fact that they have this ideology and they see it as sinful, etc. They just have to, and it's immoral, whatever. They don't want it around their kids. They don't want to celebrate or whatever. You can do whatever you want to, but we just want to have a neutral space. That's not good enough for you. So how are they supposed to come together? Because you clearly think you're more important than them. You clearly think you're more important to them. So why should they lay down all their hookups and issues or whatever and link arms with you? I could say the same thing. The same people who are against them and their beliefs and are calling them homophobic and transphobic are against the Christians and the evangelicals and the people who saying leave the kids alone. You know, people who are LGBT and they're just like, bro, like it's fine. Like we can marry who we want and stop pushing it. You're just going to make things worse. Though, like, we could all link arms and say that you guys are the weirdos because we don't think that drag is good for every school. So what she's saying to them, like we could say to them, and as a matter of fact, the Michigan Republican Party, though, you know, there's some issues we're not going to get into today, but at our meeting when we had our voted in new leadership and stuff, there's like 3 Muslims now and 3-4 Muslims like for different positions within the Republican Party that were elected by the entire voting body. Excuse me. And this sparked because all the pushing of like the inappropriate books, like the book this book is gay and other stuff that they're pushing in schools or at least have in schools that parents don't like. So her saying that Hamtramck has become a national embarrassment, that's not true. There's definitely some people upset, but there's definitely some people high-fiving them and saying that they're doing the right thing, and they're continuing to do the right thing. So she's trying to bully and embarrass them or whatever, and I hope it doesn't work. I don't think it's going to work, but why should if you can't even agree that everyone should be treated the same, why should we compromise at all? So and I know that she doesn't really care about people and their beliefs and marginalized communities, etc. If you disagree with her, she don't like you, she don't care for you, she won't stand up for you. Dana Nessel was at an event with Christina Caramo, who ran for Secretary of State, and she started bashing her beliefs pretty much.
Talk about something else that is a big threat to us here in this room and here in America. And those are people who are running for public office that believe and that say to you out loud that America is a Christian nation and that we only have room for people who are Christians in this nation.
So she was at an event, and I forget what particular event, but Christina Caramo was there, who's outspoken Christian, and well, Christina, I know Christina pretty well. She has made some claims and different things that I'm not like totally on board with some stuff, but we agree on a lot, disagree on a bit, but she's evangelical, gone to some mainstream Black churches, and the media did a couple of like hit pieces on her beliefs and sent out mailers. And she was running for Secretary of State, and they're running mailers talking about how she talked about Beyonce on a Christian podcast and talked about like demons and what people who believe in Christianity don't believe in demons. And also they attacked her for saying that abortion was child sacrifice. And I'm like, okay, how's that literally not child sacrifice? I'm like, how's that wrong? So anyway, they kept there were mailers that were sent out against her, there were articles or whatever. So anyway, she saw her in the room, so she just started ripping on people who are Christian who are running for office. She's particularly talking about her. So she doesn't think that and she didn't say that America is only a place for Christians. She didn't say that. So she was just making up stuff, but she was just attacking someone who she knew was a Christian who's running for office, because there's stuff that, obviously doesn't condone how Dana Nessel lives her life, but the same can be said for Muslims. The book there was a it was in Dearborn. There was a big protest and at the school board meeting because there were some books that they wanted taken out of the school. And one of the books was this book. This book is gay, that has some graphic, explicit material in it. And there's even a section in it that tells you how to debate with Muslims about homosexuality. And there's a section in it that teaches kids how to go on apps to find gay people. And it's a kid's book, like not like little teeny kids, but like young people, like 13 and 17 or something like that. So I'm like, this isn't appropriate at all in the least bit. So people are like, we want these books out of the schools. And then you had all these libs, I'll say it again, white libs. I'm saying they're all white, but there was a lot of them who came to speak out and were upset about them trying to get rid of the books. And I'm just like, why do you feel so attacked when we say that we don't want like graphic, sexual, explicit stuff in the schools? That doesn't make you less gay. That doesn't mean, your feelings aren't real. What does this thing that we see as perverted have to do with you? Why do you feel so attached? Because there's plenty of gay people who are like, nah, that's inappropriate. So I don't understand all these people who keep coming to these meetings who are so wounded as if it's a personal attack. Now, if it is a personal attack when we say you shouldn't have like these gross books in the school, maybe we need to check your hard drive. I don't know. Maybe we need to check your hard drive. So, yeah, Dana Nessel's full of it. She's full of it. So still wanting to reach out to the Muslim community and say we can work together and stuff. I think a lot of that has to do with like she sees them as an oppressed class, and they want to keep building that coalition, even though they widely disagree on things. And that's why a lot of times when people talk about Christians, they don't talk about Christians as a whole. They talk about white evangelical Christians in their mind. That's who they associate with like bad whiteness in America, like who they have to defeat and stuff. But I'm like, but it's Black people, for example, who are more likely to go to church several times a week, So, but they want that coalition so bad. But moral of the story, let them be able to fly the American flag and learn to live with that. Like that should be your pride flag. As a matter of fact, on my website, I have a t-shirt that has the American flag. It says, "This is my pride flag." That should be enough. That should represent enough people. And if you want to fly a pride flag on your property, you are absolutely free to do that. But why shouldn't government buildings be a neutral place? You're just mad because Democrats are running the whole state, these big cities, just Democrats everywhere. You can't get a Republican like in like Detroit or somewhere. You can't do it. You own like so much of this space. You got the House, you got the Senate, you got the governor's mansion, Secretary of State office that are run like garbage, and the Attorney General's office. You have it, and that's not enough. Yes, you want to be able to fly your flags in Hamtramck of all places. You can't just take the L. It's not even an L. It's just a neutral ground, and it's still not enough. So what will ever be enough? What is the end game? Where is the end game? What is the end game? If being treated like everyone else was not the point, because it was clearly never the point, Dana.
Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you go to blacktnews.com and check out different articles, different videos, and also check out our merchandise. If you like what I do, you can also support at the website on the donate page. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and also that notification bell. God bless.